Shalom Israel, and welcome to another edition of Yasharalah's 20-minute breakdown, where I'll attempt to break down the scriptures within 20 minutes. But first and foremost, as always, we give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Waha, Rakah, Kadash, and the Akims and the elders in the highways and byways pushing this word in truth and sincerity, all praises, and the elder women teaching the younger women, all praises to you too. And the camps and the solo brothers going out there making videos, edifying the body, pushing the truth according to scriptures. All praises. Now, what I'm going to touch on today is the book of Acts. I'm going to start at Acts chapter 10, verse 1. And the title of this lesson is called Cornelius the Israelite. Now, the reason why I'm doing this lesson, because it's been said, there's this loudmouth so-called preacher going about calling himself Pastor Gino Jennings. Now he's had a run-in with the with IUIC, the Israelites at IUIC, and he's made a statement saying how IUIC said the Bible is written to the Israelites. And then he's trying to say, well, how that's not true, because Cornelius received the word and he was a centurion of the Italian band. Now, he's trying to say Cornelius is not an Israelite because the Bible tells you he was of the Italian band and he was a centurion. Now, I'm going to show you in this lesson that not only he was an Israelite, you would find there was many other Israelites that were living as Grecians and living as Romans, but they were not ethnically Roman or Italian, or not ethnically Greeks. They were living as Greeks, they were called Grecians, but they were Israelites. Same with some of the Romans. They were living in Rome, or some of them were living in areas that was occupied by Rome after, Rome conquered, the Grecians and took all their territory, and it was all under Roman rule. And, you had Israelites that were living as Romans, but they were Israelites. Yeah? So, I'm going to open this lesson at Acts chapter 10, verse 1. And then what we're going to do, we're going to, go through some scriptures as we do. And I'm going to prove to you that Cornelius was an Israelite of the northern kingdom. This is what people forget. People totally forget. In the New Testament, when they talk about the Jews, you tend to forget the split in the kingdom under Solomon. When the kingdom had split under Solomon, when Solomon sinned, you had the house of Israel and the house of Judah. So when you hear in the New Testament, a lot of times it says the Jews, it's only talking about the southern kingdom, which only was Judah and Benjamin and some Levites, because Levites were split between the two kingdoms. So that's what you tend to forget, that when it talks of the Jews, it's talking about the house of Judah. Yeah? So when it's all about the Benjamites and the Judites, which made up and with some Levites, which made up the northern kingdom, which was the house of Judah. Yeah, not the northern kingdom, which made up the southern, let me correct myself, which made up the southern kingdom, which was the house of Judah, which was Judah and Benjamin and some Levites split between the two. So the house of Judah was known as the southern kingdom. So where's the rest of the 9 tribes? You see, you don't hear about the rest of the nine tribes that was cut off from like the whole 12 tribes, which was the northern kingdom, Ephraim, Gad, Reuben, Simeon, and all the other 9 tribes. Where are they? Those are the ones that are known as the Gentiles that Paul goes to, the northern kingdom. And you would find that Cornelius would have been of the northern kingdom. This is why, when Peter in Acts chapter 10, when he says, and it is a lawful thing for a Jew to come in unto one of another nation, because the kingdom was split. So they were looking at the house of Israel as another nation. They were now 2 separate kingdoms, 2 separate nations. And you find the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 22, actually says it, which I'll read that. If I got time, I'll read that in between the lesson. Yeah? So, let's get into this lesson. My opening verse is Acts chapter 10, verse 1. And this lesson is titled Cornelius the Israelite. Yeah? Cornelius the Israelite. Now, I'm going to start my timer in 3, 2, 1. Boom! We're away. Right, let's go straight there. Acts chapter 10 and verse 1. And it reads, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band. See, that's only telling you his profession. He was a centurion. He was a Roman soldier, and he had 100 men under him, because that's what a centurion is, a ruler of 100 men. Verse 2. And look, this is a dead giveaway. Listen to verse 2. Acts chapter 10, verse 2. A devout man and one that feared God with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always. He feared God and he gave, listen to this, he was a devout man. What does it mean to be a devout man? One that kept the commandments of the Most High. That's a devout man. Yeah? Now, watch this, yeah? Verse 3. Acts chapter 10, verse 3. He saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of God coming in to him, saying unto him, Cornelius. So now, the angel came unto him, and called his name, and like I can't go through everything because time doesn't permit, and I've got quite a few scriptures I want to get through. So I just want to give you that gist, showing you that he prayed, what do you call it? He was a devout man. He gave much alms, and he prayed to God always. And then he saw a vision about the 9th hour, an angel of the Most High coming to him and saying, Cornelius. Right, so bear that in mind. Now, let's jump to verse 4. Watch this. Acts chapter 10 and verse 4. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God, before the Most High. So you hear that? So that means Cornelius's prayers were heard by the Most High. Now, hold that thought. Bear that in mind. The Most High heard Cornelius's prayers. Now, listen, I'm going to quickly read John chapter 9, verse 31. Listen to this. John chapter 9, verse 31, and it reads, Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshipper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth. So you see, going to show you that Cornelius was definitely a worshipper of the Most High, and he was doing his will. This is why the Most High heard his prayer. Now watch this. I'm going to quickly jump to the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 9. Watch this, yeah? Proverbs chapter 28, verse 9. And it reads, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be abomination. So you see, showing you that Cornelius kept the law because his prayer was not abomination to the Most High. He heard his prayer. I just want to go through them verses to show you. Now, let's jump back to the book of Acts, chapter 10. We're going to jump down to verse 17 of the same chapter. Listen to this, yeah? Now, remember, this was Cornelius. So Cornelius, like the Most High sent, a vision, a word by an angel to Cornelius. And now when you read on, it was to send men to Peter, yeah, to call Peter to come to Cornelius's house. Like Simon, whose name was Peter, to come to Cornelius' house. That's what that was about. But let's jump now down to when Peter now gets a vision. Remember, Cornelius got a vision. Now, Peter got a vision. Let's jump here. Acts chapter 10, and we'll take it at verse 17. This is now after Peter got this vision when he said, arise, Peter, kill and eat. He said, not so, Lord. I've never eaten anything common or unclean. Yeah? So we know, say, Peter gets this vision. Now I'm going to take it at verse 17. After Peter got this vision, and after, like, the vessel came down with all abominable beasts in there, and the voice told him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. And it was told to him 3 times, and, Peter said, not so. He's never eaten anything common or unclean, until eventually, the voice said, what God has cleansed, thou call not common or unclean. So people think that's referring to food, but it's not, right? So now, other lessons I've gone into that more deeply. But now we're taking it at verse 17. Listen to this. After the vision, Acts chapter 10, verse 17. Now, while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house, and stood before the gate. Verse 18, and called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there. So you see that they inquired of Peter. Yeah? Now, I'm going to jump down to verse 28. Watch this, yeah? Acts chapter 10, verse 28. So remember, Cornelius got this vision, and, Cornelius got a vision, and then he sent men to Peter, and Peter got a vision. And then after when the men came, then Peter was told, go with the men, doubting nothing. Just quickly paraphrasing because I've got quite a few scriptures to get through. Now watch this. Acts chapter 10, verse 28. Now, this is now when Peter's gone with the men that Cornelius has sent, and now he's reached at where Cornelius is. Now, this is what Peter says to Cornelius. This is Acts chapter 10, verse 28. And he said unto them, which the other men, the men that came and brought Peter, and they're all now at Cornelius's house. Acts chapter 10, verse 28. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. So that's what the whole vision was about. Like for Peter, that the Most High God had cleansed these men's hearts. So you could no longer call them common or unclean, because the Jews never had dealings with one of another nation. Now, remember, Peter got a vision, and Cornelius got a vision. Now watch this. We're going to jump all the way down to verse 35 of the very same chapter. Listen to this. Acts chapter 10, verse 35, and it reads, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness. Remember, worketh righteousness. You go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 25. It shows you it is righteous to keep all the commandments of the Most High God. That's what righteousness is. So let's read on. Acts chapter 10 verse 35. But in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. Now listen carefully to verse 36. Acts chapter 10 verse 36. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Jesus Christ, Yahushua, the Lord, he is Lord of all. Now notice how verse 36 said, the word which God sent unto the children of Israel. Now remember, the word God sent unto the children of Israel. So Cornelius received that word. Peter received that word. Now this verse just told you that that word was only sent to the children of Israel. So if Cornelius received that word, he would have been an Israelite, because that's who the word was sent to. It's common sense. Yeah? It's common sense. Now, watch this. I'm going to show you something else even further. That's Cornelius. Just want to show you that he was of the Italian band. Because he was a Roman soldier doesn't mean he couldn't be an Israelite. I'm going to show you, I'm going to quickly show you something with Paul, and then I want to show you where Romans were called Israelites. Again, I'll show you that again. Watch this. I'm going to jump to the book of Acts. I'm staying in Acts actually. I'm going to jump to chapter 9. I'm going to quickly take it at verse 23 quickly. I just want to break this down quickly, because this is when Acts chapter 9 is when Paul, after all those things that he was doing, he was on the road to Damascus, and then, the Yahushua, which is one you call Christ, a big light shone from heaven, and, he was converted on the road to Damascus quickly. And then he was end up now, cutting a long story short, Paul will end up now preaching the word of the Messiah. And people that heard him, knowing of his past reputation, feared him, because he was persecuting the Jews and having them bound and put to death. Yeah? So now he has now been converted. He's repented, he's been converted. Now he's preaching the word. So now there are people now hearing him preach the word, and now they're against him. Now, watch this, yeah? This is Acts chapter 9. I'm going to jump straight to verse 23. Listen to this. Acts chapter 9, verse 23. Actually, I'll take it at 22, just to show you this a bit further. Acts chapter 9, verse 22, and it reads, But Saul, which is Paul, but Saul increased the more in strength, and confounded the Jews. See, he was confounding Jews, so they were upset because he was confounding them. Watch this, yeah? But Saul increased the more in strength, and confounded the Jews which dwelt at Damascus, proving that this is very Christ. And watch this, verse 23. And after that many days were fulfilled, the Jews took counsel to kill him. So you hear that now? The Jews took counsel to kill Paul because he confounded them. But watch this. When you jump down to let's take it at verse 20. Let's take it at verse 29, because now, actually, let me take out verse 27 just to give you a bit more. Watch this now. Remember what I just read, that the Jews took counsel to kill him. This is Acts chapter 20, Acts chapter 9 and verse 23. Now I'll jump down to verse 27. Listen to this, yeah? But Acts chapter 9 verse 27. But Barnabas took him and brought him to the apostles, and declared unto them how he had seen the Lord in the way, and that he had spoken to him, and how he had preached boldly at Damascus in the name of Yahushua, Jesus, as they say, yeah? Verse 28. And he was with them coming in and going out at Jerusalem. Listen to verse 29. Acts chapter 9 verse 29. And he spake boldly in the name of the Lord Yahushua, as they say, Jesus, yeah? He spake boldly in the name of the Lord Yahushua, and disputed against the Grecians, but they went about to slay him. Now you hear that earlier, these Grecians were called Jews, but just a few verses down, they are called Grecians. Why? Because they were living as Greeks and they took on Greek customs and they were speaking in the Greek tongue, a lot of them, yeah? So they were called Grecians, showing you Grecians can be Israelites. Not all Grecians are ethnic Greeks. Some are our people living as Greeks. Now, watch this, yeah? I'm going to quickly, remember Paul was an Israelite. How do we know this? Watch this. This is how we know Paul was an Israelite. Watch this. I'm going to jump to the book of Romans. Listen to this, yeah? Romans chapter 11 verse 1. Listen to this. Romans 11 verse 1, and it reads, I say then, has God cast away his people? God forbid, meaning no, he hasn't cast away the Israelites. Listen to this. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So Paul is even showing you he's an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So Paul is a Benjamite, right? But watch what he says here. Now, this is Acts chapter 22. Watch this, yeah? Acts chapter 22, and I'll take it at verse 25. Listen to this. Acts chapter 22 and verse 25. Now this is when they bound Paul for preaching in the name of Yahushua, yeah? Listen to this, yeah? Acts chapter 2 verse 25, and it reads, and as they bound him with thongs, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman and uncondemned? See, Paul called himself a Roman, but remember in Romans 11 and 1, he said he's an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. But what did he just hear? He just said he is a Roman. Now, listen to this, yeah? Verse 26 of Acts chapter 22. When the centurion, remember, this man also is a centurion, just like Cornelius is a centurion, remember, yeah? Acts 22 verse 26. When the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain. So he's gone to now someone who is even above him. He went to the chief captain saying, take heed what thou doest, for this man is a Roman. Verse 27. Then the chief captain came and said unto him, so he said unto Paul, tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, yea. So see, Paul said yes. Now listen to what the chief captain said to Paul now. Verse 28 of Acts 22. This is important. Listen to this. And the chief captain answered, with a great sum obtained I this freedom. And Paul said, I was freeborn. So showing you that this chief captain paid a great sum to become a Roman citizen. Yeah, so he paid to become a Roman citizen. But Paul is showing him, no, I was freeborn. I was born in Rome. So I'm a Roman citizen. So Paul had his nationality through birth. Whereas this chief captain paid. So, and he was a chief captain in the Italian band, which he's above the centurion. So get that. Now, wow, time is going fast. Now, watch this. Now, I'm going to quickly jump to John chapter 4 quickly. John chapter 4 and verse 9. Listen to this. This is now when Yahushua, the one you call Christ, went to the well, and there was a Samaritan woman at the well. Listen to what he says to her. I'm going to take it straight to the point. I haven't got time to mess about. John chapter 4 verse 9. Then saith the woman, because this is when Yahushua said, ask him for a drink. Yeah? And this is her reply. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? for the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Now, I'm going to just jump down to verse 12. Listen to what, after Yahushua answered her, listen to what she said now in verse 12. John chapter 4 verse 12. Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Showing you this woman was of the seed of Jacob. So she was an Israelite, but she called herself a Samaritan. Now, I'm about to time out. So I want to quickly get this verse in. Now listen to this, yeah? This is Ezekiel. This is what I was talking about earlier. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 22. Listen to this. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 22. And it reads, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be to them all, and they shall be, listen, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Showing you that this is where the split was. So you see, they were two kingdoms. Quickly, if I can get one more. John chapter 10 verse 16. Listen to this. John chapter 10 verse 16. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and they shall be one fold and one shepherd. So that's the Yahushua bringing the two kingdoms back together. So they're one kingdom, and he will rule over all the 12 tribes. Well, I'm sorry I'm timed out, but I hope you get the point. He is an Israelite. That is Cornelius. With that, we out.